Over the last few weeks, I've got a number of requests from you guys in the comments below to make a video on the US housing market and its impact on the Irish housing market. I think this has been spurred on by a lot of headlines in the US about house prices falling fast. Sales are down, mortgage rates are at an all-time high at around 7%, and major news outlets like CNBC and the Wall Street Journal are actually warning or suggesting that there's a housing recession happening in the US right now. But what's really going on, and will it impact the Irish housing market? When the crash happened in 2008, there was a huge volume of new builds being constructed in the US. So when sales volumes fell down in 2009, there was a huge amount of oversupply of housing, which led to a massive drop in house prices. The media is sending out warnings about headlines on the fact that sales volumes are as low as 2009, suggesting that there should be some concern around that, is slightly out of context. While it is true, it's not really painting a good picture of the market. There are reports in the US that the volume of sales dropped about 15% year on year at the start of the year. But when you take into account the amount of uncertainty in the market at the very start of this year, given all the issues that were happening in the US, it's fair to say that that uncertainty was going to lead to a drop in sales volumes. But those sales have creeped up in recent months and they're not too dissimilar from last year. There is some truth in the fact that there has been an increase or a trickle up of supply of housing onto the US market. This is largely due probably to the fact that there's a lot of movement within the jobs market. So people are probably looking to move before things happen with their jobs. Interest rates are at a 20-year high. So the market is slightly cooling in terms of where it was in 2020 and 2022. However, it is important to note that the reports in regards to the low volume of sales being reported are driven probably more significantly due to the fact that there is limited houses available or limited stock available, and there has been very slow output in terms of new construction. Despite all the headlines that are out there in the US in regards to house prices haven't crashed yet. There's been a slight downturn at the very start of the year and things are picking up or remaining reasonably steady at the moment. In short, the US market is slowing a little bit, has not collapsed. Headlines like housing market sales have crashed down to 2009 levels doesn't tell a very accurate picture of the market. Back to Ireland, why does this actually matter to Ireland, and does it have any real impact on the housing market in Ireland? Well, global financial sentiment does move pretty fast and we're witnessing it happening faster and faster all the time, particularly what's happening in the political realm. And what is happening in the US does ripple through to Europe. It is something that we need to be mindful of in terms of the economy at large and our housing market, and we do need to keep an eye on the US market. Ireland is facing uncertainty in the jobs market and export market, and this will impact consumer confidence, and this will impact people's decisions in regards to buying and selling, particularly homes. Fear factors were quite high in regards to Q1. There's been a slight ease off on that somewhat. Ireland does have a lower housing supply than the US, particularly in urban areas. Ireland also has a lower interest rate at the moment and very low output on new builds. We also have a growing demand from the government, from state-backed housing schemes, housing bodies, council, direct provision, and that demand from the state is going to be a very considerable factor when you compare it to the US that doesn't quite have the same state input in terms of housing that the Irish market does. Ireland also has more protection on home ownership than the US. It takes far longer for a bank to repossess a home in Ireland, meaning homeowners, if they lose their job during uncertain times, they have a few years to recover. The same cannot be said in the US. They might only have a few months, prompting many people right now who might feel they're at risk of losing their job to place their home on the market sooner rather than later. This doesn't quite apply to Irish homeowners. meaning any future uncertainty into the Irish market may not lead to a spike in homes coming onto the market. With over 50% of Irish homes actually being held without mortgages, many homeowners will feel zero to no pressure during uncertain times to sell. The Irish population is still growing rapidly. Government subsidies and schemes to facilitate that growth is there. Many will disagree with that now, but it is having an impact on demand no matter what anyone says about it. And therefore, we could see prices still slowly increase for the rest of the year. There might be some modest drops in some areas, but I don't see a crash happening this year. It's unlikely that a crash will happen unless some major external development happens in the world. But basically, property is all about location, and when you look at each market around the world, Ireland still has fundamental factors that should be driving prices up. Low interest rates, strong demand, limited supply. When you look at the US, some states are growing in terms of prices because people are moving to those states. Some other states are falling. The same is happening in Europe. There's more people moving to Ireland than other parts of Europe, and therefore demand is still increasing. The Irish market is local as well, so some areas will increase in value and increase in price, while others might slightly drop. But overall, I believe property prices will remain steady for the moment. Remember, if you get value from these videos, hit the subscribe button, like the video. I am working on a new project called PropGen. It's a solution to help buyers actually find their homes a little bit easier and take the stress out of it. We will be launching some exciting products in the next few months, so keep an eye on that space. And as always, thanks for watching.